Hundreds of Ethiopian immigrants landed in Tel Aviv in March as part of an aggressive move by the Israeli regime to change the demographics of the occupied territories and further push Palestinians out of their land. These Ethiopians face constant discrimination and racism in Israel. An Ethiopian immigrant in the occupied territories speaks out here during an anti-racism protest. Let's take a listen.
We can tell that no one sees us, no one investigates these issues deeply. They always sweep this issue under the carpet.
Hello and a warm welcome to this week's edition of Africa Today, which is focusing on the recent immigration of Ethiopian Jews to Israel and the discrimination they face in the occupied territories. Now, in the second segment of our program, we shall go to the Congo Basin and have a look at the dangers the rainforest in this region is facing. So join us till the end of our show and do send us your comments and views as you watch.
Ethiopian Jews face racism in Israel. Some 300 Ethiopian immigrants landed in Tel Aviv in mid-March as part of a colonial plan by the Israeli regime to bring Ethiopian Jewish community to the occupied territories. They were the last of 2,000 Ethiopian immigrants to arrive in an operation which began last December. Nearly 150,000 Ethiopian Jews now live in Israel. Many arrived in a secret immigration operation that took place in the mid-1980s and early 1990s. Most of these Ethiopian Jews face racism in their daily lives and experience institutional discrimination at every level. Even their Jewishness is doubted. This comes as no surprise, as Israel is an apartheid regime.
In 2019, a trigger-happy Israeli policeman shot dead Solomon Teka, a teenager of Ethiopian descent, sparking nationwide protests. One of the protesters expresses fear of daily racist attacks.
I have small kids. This is enough. It's not nice. I'm always worried about my son until I see him with my own eyes when he comes home. Aren't we also humans?
The policeman who shot dead Teka was recently allowed to resume duty. The family of Teka voiced shock and astonishment over his return.
Such incidents are clear evidence that the racist Israeli regime does not really care about Ethiopian Jews, who are being used as part of its long-term strategy to change the demographic makeup of the occupied territories. This plan also includes constructing illegal settlements, destroying historical sites, and expelling the local Palestinian population.
For more on this subject, we contacted Dr. Louis Gordon, the founder of the Center for Afro-Jewish Studies. He's also a professor and head of the Department of Philosophy at the University of Connecticut. Thanks a lot, Dr. Gordon, for your time. Now, as we know, Ethiopian Jews have lived in Ethiopia for centuries. Now, why is the Israeli regime now encouraging them to immigrate to the occupied territories?
You see, although the initial issue was around Jewish Ethiopian refugees, which is part of the Operation Moses situation, if you look at Wings of Dove, this is where you have an unabashedly right-wing government of Israel, and the purposes there are a little different, and the numbers are not as large. So the thing to bear in mind is that there are Ethiopian Jews all over the world. There are prominent intellectuals, prominent activists, all the way down to the working class individual, from the cab driver to the person in the store. And there are varieties of reasons. What's unfortunate is their cause has been captured by the conflicts that are really focused more in Israel. But for Ethiopian Jews, for instance, I'm of a variety of Jewish descent, from Mizrahi, from Palestine and Jerusalem, to Sephardic Jews, but also part of my ancestry is Ethiopian Jews. And these are Jews who were in Jamaica. So not all Jews in the world are Jews who want to go to Israel.
Thanks for that, Mr. Gordon, and stay tuned for more.
Ethiopians have long complained about unfair treatment and police violence in Israel and say they're treated as third-class citizens. Bags of blood donated by Ethiopian Jews were found dumped by Israel in 1996. The discovery led to protests and riots in Israel. An Ethiopian demonstrating against discrimination and Israeli police brutality could not mince his words.
I have lots of friends who the police have hit and targeted with tasers. Yesterday it was him, tomorrow it could be me. and the day after it could be my brother or a friend. Why do they do this? Because they're racists.
Ethiopian Jews are now facing discrimination in Israel. Now, do you think they would have been better off staying in Ethiopia?
The thing we have to deal with is that not only are there Black Jews everywhere, but we face ongoing struggles even in Israel. Because, we can't pretend. There is racism in Israel. And I should add that the Israeli left, as do the US left, join in protest against the discrimination. But the fact is, they're protesting because the discrimination exists, and especially when you're talking about the police. But as we know, a big problem with Black people in countries that are not predominantly Black is this problem of state representatives of violence. And that's why I bring up the police, although if you bring up the Israeli case, you'll also have to bring up the military.
The Israeli regime has also illegally attempted to control the birth rate among Ethiopian immigrants. This racist regime admitted it gave Ethiopian Jewish immigrants birth control injections without their knowledge or consent. Now, why did the Israeli regime forcibly inject Ethiopian women immigrants with birth control shots? This is clearly a criminal move.
The fact of Israeli misdeeds on Ethiopian Jews has been known for decades. Not only in terms of what they're doing with birth control, but the thing is, what's very tricky is an issue that Ethiopian Jews face also when they migrate, not only in Israel in terms of their numbers.
The Israeli regime also seeks strategic relationships with African governments, while the marginalization of Africans persists within the occupied territories. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is pursuing a plan to deport thousands of African migrants in his racist anti-migrant campaign. He called these African migrants infiltrators.
והמאמץ הגדול הוא להוציא באופן משמעותי את רוב אלה שנשארו שהם שוהים ומסתננים בלתי חוקיים לישראל. אנחנו מביאים היום תוכנית לממשלה להוצאת המסתננים הבלתי חוקיים, והתוכנית הזאת תצא לדרך היום.
Netanyahu has issued racist remarks against African migrants. What motivates Ethiopian Jews to migrate to the occupied territories while they clearly know they will face racial discrimination?
We're talking also about a right-wing government. I don't know any right-wing governments that are not racist. It's the same kind of language we had with Trump, as an example. Why would some people migrate to a right-wing country that is going to treat them in dehumanizing ways? Well, their motivation is connected to their specific situations. In some cases, they have family members there. In some cases, it just so happens the opportunity came there. And in other cases, they vary. But in most cases, it's desperation.
Dr. Gordon there says that the immigration of Ethiopian Jews to territories occupied by Israel is out of desperation. Quite clearly, this is a case of jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. Now, before we wind up our interview, let's watch remarks by a high-ranking Israeli regime diplomat on Ethiopian Jews.
Many of them actually converted, or their parents converted to Christianity for various reasons, and now they wish to return to be part of the Jewish people. They are not considered as Jews, so they already live as Jews, but officially they are not yet converted, so they're not yet Jews.
Now, the Israeli regime has been airlifting Ethiopian Jews in pursuit of its settler colonial project in the occupied Palestinian territories, but says they are not Jewish enough. What's your take?
The people who have the power, who are hegemonic, are always saying that the people who don't have the power are not authentically who they are. But Ethiopian Jews know they're Jewish people. And Ethiopian Jews, and not only they, but many Jews I've met across the world, they know who they are. And in the end, if there's a state that's not going to recognize them, then look, they'll live elsewhere.
Thanks a lot for your insight, Dr. Gordon. Now, when we come back after a short break, we'll talk about dangers facing the Congo rainforest.
Congo rainforest in peril.
The Congo Basin forest is the world's second largest tropical rainforest, covering approximately 170 million hectares. That is more than 4 times the size of Germany. This forest is one of the most important places in the world to help reduce the effects of climate change. Now, Congo Basin forest spans 6 countries, that is Cameroon, the Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, and the Republic of Congo. The Congo rainforest is also of critical importance to local populations.
So here we've got a peat sample from 2.5 meters to 3 meters deep. So it's a surprise to see such depths here, which suggests that possibly, after some more exploration, we might have to revise our estimates of how much carbon is stored in this basin, in the central Congo Basin, upwards a little bit.
In recent years, the rate of deforestation in the Congo Basin forest has increased at an alarming rate. According to Greenpeace Africa, illegal and unsustainable logging, compounded by weak forest management, has resulted in the average loss of 374,000 hectares per year. That's quite a massive loss. A community leader in the Democratic Republic of Congo laments here the loss of the forest cover in his village.
Forestière venait encore ici chez nous. Moi, je dirais personnellement non. Je n'aurais pas signé parce que j'ai eu l'expérience par rapport à l'autre.
For an incisive analysis on what danger the Congo Basin faces due to deforestation, we are joined by Nimo Basay. He's an environmental activist, author, and director of Health of Mother Earth Foundation. Thanks a lot, sir, for your time. Now, how massive is the destruction of the Congo Basin rainforests?
The Congo Basin rainforest covers a wide area in a number of countries in the heart of Africa. It's the second largest tropical primary rainforest in the world. Compared to the rest of deforestation in other parts of the world, this used to be fairly low, especially when you compare to the deforestation in the Amazon. But of late, the rate of deforestation has been increasing, and this is very worrisome.
Thanks for that, Mr. Basay.
Since 2002, a moratorium on the allocation of new logging concessions has been in place in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a country in which most of the Congo Basin forest can be found. The moratorium doesn't mean an end to cutting of trees in the DRC, but it means that no new logging contracts can be awarded. Currently, illegal timber cut in the Congo Basin is being sent around the world, especially to the European Union member states and the United States. An environmental activist in Cameroon speaks on the need to combat after witnessing scenes of illegal logging.
Christian Louis Ndok, a community forest observer, and Pascal revisit an illegally felled and protected Bubinga tree, abandoned when the loggers were discovered. The felled tree is often left to rot, and denouncers get no reward.
Là, on est à combien de mètres là, de longueur?
Oui, la longueur, on estime la longueur à 22 mètres.
22 mètres.
25 mètres. Nous autres, nous sommes conscients du fait qu'il faut combattre l'exploitation forestière illégale. Parce que, ça ne rapporte rien à l'État, ça ne rapporte rien aux dénonciateurs et ça ne rapporte rien aux communautés.
What is the dominant force behind rising Congo forest deforestation?
There are many factors, really, multiple factors in deforestation in the Congo rainforest, but the major ones are industrial mining, especially, and this covers, there are many factors affecting and increasing the rate of deforestation in the Congo rainforest, including factors such as mining. And mining does have related factors because before mining takes place, you have to build the access route to the mining locations, and this brings in a lot of other factors that lead to deforestation. There's also the case of industrial plantation, agriculture, especially like oil, including oil palm plantations, and there's also massive logging going on.
Mr. Basse talked there about logging and agricultural projects. Now, Cameroon is one of the Congo Basin countries that has seen its forest cover diminish due to industrial-scale farming. A local here speaks on how a multinational company has destroyed the tropical forest in his region.
So since they have just bulldozed the whole thing and torn it up and down, I am not the only person crying. Many, the whole of our people of Babese too are crying.
Mr. Basse, can you elaborate on how multinationals are destroying the Congo Basin forest through logging and massive agricultural projects?
Surprisingly, or would I say shockingly, industrial plantation owners prefer virgin forest rather than degraded forest because the soil is richer and they can just make a lot of they can grow their crops, plantation cash crops, without having to invest so much in soil preparation. So you have this problem as one of the big challenges that we can see in forest deforestation as well as forest degradation in the area. Big industrial infrastructure such as hydropower plants are equally creating serious problems. And these big plantations and big infrastructure also come up along with massive population movements. All these add together to create serious deforestation issues in the Congo Basin.
Well, thanks, Mr. Basse. It appears it's a tragic situation there at the Congo Basin.
In its projections, the United Nations says there will be a 5-fold increase in human population in the Congo Basin by the end of the century. Use of charcoal by locals is a major contributing factor to the destruction of the Congo rainforest.
Despite this, illegal logging and land grabbing is a constant battle for the community. Normejo's Baka Pygmy community have a naturally strong commitment to protect their forest, as it is a rich source of food and medicinal plants.
Some projections state that Congo Basin forest will disappear by the end of the century. In your opinion, is this possible?
Now the projections that the Congo rainforest will disappear by the end of the century is really very scary and troubling. I don't think this possibility makes it inevitable that this must happen. The possibility is there, but it is not inevitable. We've also seen records that show if communities control and manage their forest, the rate of deforestation goes down and forests are preserved because local communities relate to the forest in a way that is not predatory. They relate to the forest in a way that is respectful of the multiple ecosystems in the forest. They depend on the forest for medicines, for food, for recreation, for spiritual activities, and they are the ones who defend and protect the forest. And so if we are conscious of the fact that this degradation is going on at a terrible rate that must be halted, one thing governments in the region can do is hand over the management of the forest to communities, and the forest would not disappear.
Mr. Basse says local communities should have the main stake in protecting the Congo rainforest to protect it from extinction. A community leader in Congo also believes they are the real custodians of the region's rainforest.
Nous, une population dépendante de la forêt. C'est là où nous tirons notre bénéfice et nous considérons la forêt comme étant une mère nourricière. Puisque là, il y a la pharmacopée. Là, il y a aussi les ramassages. Nos sites sacrés aussi sont dans la forêt. Et si un PA se trouve dans la forêt, il trouve sa vie, puisqu'il est son habitat naturel.
Mr. Basse, as you know, the Congo Basin region has been experiencing political instability and armed conflicts for long. Now, how is this fragile political situation affecting the region's rainforest?
There's so much conflict going on, sometimes below the radar in the Congo Basin, because the Congo Basin has been a place of plunder of resources. Transnational corporations and governments have sponsored assassinations, sponsored conflicts, and just created instability in the region for decades now, also as to grab the resources from the Congo rainforest area. What citizens can do to tell their politicians, tell their corporations, enough of the bloodshed, enough of blood minerals, enough of blood timber from the Congo Basin. It's time to halt the degradation and allow the planet, allow the Congo Basin to revive itself and to have a rest from all the conflicts. This will be one way not only to tackle global warming, but also to build peace in a way that will affect everyone positively.
Well, very well put there. Stop the plunder of the Congo rainforest to tackle global warming and for peace to prevail. And that brings us to the end of our show today. Thanks a lot for watching, and don't forget to send us your views through our social media handle. On behalf of my colleagues here at Africa Today, it's goodbye for now.